Bolt vai fazer o anúncio do piloto substituto. Nós estamos aqui na sala de imprensa para poder fazer a cobertura. Isso vem de imediato. O Stephan Wilson não vai correr e está sob condições de teste. Ali já meio já tem um burburinho. Acho que o Sage Karen já está ali. Ele já está ali, já está pronto. É que está muito escuro, eu não quero ir andando até lá. Mas uma parte da mídia já está aqui para suportar essa condição e a gente vai falando aqui, tá bom? INDYCAST Brasil em Indianápolis, diretamente exclusivo, mostrando isso aqui agora. Em instantes, a IndyCar e a equipe do Ryan Rainbow vai fazer o anúncio que o Stephan Wilson não vai correr e o Sage Karen, que já correu para a equipe no passado, deve fazer essa participação aqui também, tá bom? Então eu vou trocar de lado aqui, ficaria do lado da janela, fica melhor, mas a equipe já está se sentando ali para fazer o anúncio. E você? Rahal está ali.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started here this morning. A couple of housekeeping items to begin with. If you have a question, Kieran is over here in the white shirt. Raise your hand and we'll take questions in person. And for those of you joining us on Zoom, good morning to you folks as well. If you have a question, hit the virtual raised hand button and we'll take your questions, as many as we can get to here this morning, here in just a bit. Joining us today, Dennis Reinbold, owner of Dreyer and Reinbold Racing. On the far side, Don Cusick, Cusick Motorsports team owner, and a special guest there in the middle. Dennis, we'll turn it over to you to make the announcement.
Okay, I guess this is not a shocker right here, but Graham is going to replace Stephan in the car for us the rest of the week.
Esqueçam tudo que eu falei, mudou agora e o Graham Rahal vai correr no lugar do Stephan Wilson. Ele foi chamado em cima de última hora e aceitou correr.
It's been a whirlwind. I don't have a script, so that's kind of consistent with how the last day has gone. So we're excited to put Graham in the car. It's a tough deal. We had the month going really well with Stephan. He is getting further evaluation today, I know, going in for x-rays here soon to sort of determine the path of what's best for him. So you saw the release yesterday.
Ele está falando aqui que está desejando o melhor para o Stephan, que ele se recupere logo, mas que o carro precisa correr. E o pessoal passa aqui, eu já peço desculpas pelo a falta de estrutura que a gente acabou de fazer em cima da hora que vamos chegar aqui na pista, tá?
There were a lot of hurdles involved, and Graham can speak to some of those, but a lot of things that what I want to touch on is just how much the IndyCar community really.
Sandro, eu concordo com você, acho que foi a melhor escolha que a gente poderia fazer mesmo, porque ontem ele estava muito chateado de não poder correr. Então, acabou que veio um consolo para ele. Hoje de manhã estava se falando muito no Sage Karen, ele estava ali atrás, todo mundo aqui estava apostando que era ele. Tanto quando entrou o Graham Rahal, todo mundo se assustou.
A lot of credit to the Chevy guys who we talked with and
pessoal, diz aí no chat, por favor, vocês estão me ouvindo bem?
Things that we had to work through to put this together, that it's the Indy 500 and people come together to make this event special and make it great like it is. And so I don't know, I'm rambling on, but that's kind of how it feels. Really, it's been a moving experience, a lot of emotions through the last 24 hours, and and just really touched by all the support that we've had.
Don, we'll turn it over to you, just your thoughts about the last 24 hours here.
Yeah, first I'd just like to let everybody know I did speak with Steph this morning. Obviously, he's fairly crushed emotionally, but supportive of what
Eu
we're
tô
doing.
usando o microfone do fone, não é a melhor coisa, mas melhorou agora?
He really appreciates all the outpouring and concern, and yeah, hopefully we'll get back here on Sunday and walk down the track with him. As far as all of this craziness goes, definitely a first for us, definitely a first for me. Didn't really expect to be sitting here having this conversation, but here we are. Very, very thankful to Dreyer Reinbold, Dennis, and Brett for putting this together, and super thankful that Graham was able to do this as well. We're excited for Sunday. It's going to be a little bittersweet, obviously, but glad we can go forward and do it, and super appreciative of IndyCar, the racing family, and the individual sitting over here to my right.
And finally, Graham, to you. Now, you'll be hopping in the number 24 DRR QC Motorsports Carekeeper Chevrolet. Your thoughts?
Well, first off, I think as everybody said, I certainly feel for Steph. I know how much he puts into this, year.
É aquela fala inicial de sempre, que lamentam pelo Steph, mas ele está muito animado de poder representar o carro número 24 da Ryan Rainbow,
It's
ok?
never good, and I know emotionally the roller coaster he's on right now. Unfortunately, I've just lived it as well, and I know that he'll be back, really, really strong and better than ever. That said too, the Wilson family, certainly in my life, has had a very strong impact. So it's as I said yesterday, I told AC, everything in life happens for a reason. Sometimes it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but when I got the call from Dennis yesterday afternoon, right away I felt compelled that this was, for some reason, my calling was to be here, to be able to help as best I could and to fill in. Clearly, this is Steph's ride. It's his seat. He's done a great job to get it to the point that it is. And it was an honor for me to receive the call. So to Dennis, to Brett, to Don, everybody that made that happen, I certainly am very grateful. And I must say, Dennis mentioned Chevy, and equally so Honda, for allowing me to do this. I think I told Dennis when he called me, I said, oh, not really sure I want to waste your time. I've spent my entire career in a Honda. I've never driven anything other than that. And I'm not really sure that we'll be able to get the releases in place to be able to make this happen. They really came together, two manufacturers, to allow this to take place, to allow us to go race on Sunday, and hopefully get this car moving towards the front and have a really, really strong run. It's also, kind of special for me in a way to come back. I drove for Dennis, 13 years ago in Iowa. We had a really strong run there. Always admired what he's been able to do with his team, and Chase, I think the entire organization does a great job, and as proven this month. I mean, they came out with Ryan. I texted Ryan on last Wednesday night, and I was like, damn, dude, you're going to win this thing. Like, it was the best car I thought I saw all day. So, trust me, I'm excited at the opportunities ahead as well. But make no mistake, as I've said and made it clear, this is certainly Steph's ride, and I'm fortunate to be in the position to be able to help and fill in. And like I said, hopefully we can have a really, really great Sunday. And again, it's kind of a weird thing as well. Carekeepers, which is the primary, Gary and Dina Tennyson, who own Carekeepers, have been very, very close friends of ours and supporters of our foundation for 6, 7, 8 years. So again, how this world works, sometimes it doesn't make sense at the time. But I remember when Gary called me about 7, 8 months ago saying he was going to do this, I was thrilled for him. This is kind of a lifelong dream for him to work with Don to get the opportunity to have his logo on a car here at Indy. And look where we are today. I mean, who would have known? So sometimes weird things happen in this world, and I as I said, you don't have the answers for them up front, but we're fortunate to be here.
We'll go ahead and open it up to questions. Again, raise your hand. Kieran has the microphone. We'll begin in the front row with Bruce Martin from NBC and Forbes.
Graham, you were very close to Stephan's brother. He was your teammate when you came into the Champ Car Series in 2007. I imagine you're pretty good friends with Steph also, but when you think of that familial bond that you have with the Wilson family, you talk about a calling. Was that really something you reflected on?
Oh, for sure. I think about Justin a lot. So, when the call came, right away, it was, an immediate connection. Frankly, I think in many ways, Justin helped in more ways than one kind of shape my career, not only as a man and who you should be, how you should act, all of that stuff, but also, I remember in 2006, I was in Formula Atlantic, of course. I don't know why, but we had a joint autograph session with the Champ Car guys. We were in Portland. And I was still, dreaming that, hey, maybe someday, Formula One. And Justin Wilson was the guy who told me that it was way too political and I didn't have the right filter to enter Formula One. So if it weren't for him, I probably would have kept chasing a different dream. So in many ways, he did help me. But I do know as a teammate too, when I was with him at Newman Haas, and then again with Dennis at Iowa. I mean, he's just a tremendous guy, and Steph is right there with him. And so, as I said, their entire family I have the utmost respect for. And when in a scenario like this, I felt had it been something different, I don't know how compelled I would have been, particularly with the storylines of the last couple days. Trust me, for me, it was a bit of a bittersweet moment to, do I do it? Do I not? Is it appropriate? Is it not? But in this circumstance, with Dennis, with Don, with Gary, with Steph, it felt right. And as I said, I can't thank, Honda and Chevy and all the sponsors. It's been a tough week, for our sponsors as well, and for everybody who's been able to make this possible to release me to come over here.
Pessoal, logo depois dessa entrevista aqui, nós vamos fazer uma live para analisar e comentar melhor, tá? Então já fiquem ligados aí.
Knowing now you're back in the race, how do you describe just the lowest low and now a very high?
Well, the positive, she's 2 years old, so she doesn't really know what it was all about. All she told me when I hugged her was, "Ooh, Daddy, you're wet." I was like, of course, I've been sweating for an hour. No, I felt every emotion over the last couple of days. But as I've always said, and Dennis knows this well, that's Indy. It can put you through a vicious cycle. And you never know what's going to happen, how it's going to take place. We don't know how it's going to end up in 5-6 days time. But at the end of the day, when an opportunity like this comes, you certainly are honored to get the call. And for me, it was, I won't lie, I really did feel excited to have the sense that, another team had the respect, at least for me to call. It was a great opportunity to come out here and try to perform and be able to race this Sunday. So you go through it all, the highs, the lows, and I still, as I said, I still don't want to step in and take over here. I mean, it is Steph's role. He's put this all together. He and Don and Dennis and everybody put this entire program together. It's a very unfortunate situation. I feel for him. When I saw the accident, I was very concerned for his back right away when I saw the angle of the accident. And unfortunately, I'm aware of those things because of, being a taller driver. It is an issue that I feel like have a little more frequently. And so I feel terrible that he's in the role he's at. But as Don said, I'm sure he'll be back stronger than ever, come back here next year and put on a great challenge.
Let's go David and then Joey.
O Dom vai conversar com a gente, pessoal, depois do programa, aqui da live. A gente vai fazer uma live para poder fazer os comentários, mas aí depois ele vai conversar com a gente, tá ok? Fiquem atentos aí.
Dennis will tell you too. He when he called, I said to him, I don't really want to waste your time. It's probably best that you just speak to Dad. Because, again, while I was very appreciative, I knew the hurdles were going to be massive. This wasn't just as easy as saying yes. And, you know, I think we both last night, we were sitting there at about 10:30 and going, I can't believe this actually happened. That, you know, that both Honda and Chevy allowed this to happen. So we're very, very appreciative of that. And, you know, frankly, that would be a better question for Dennis and Dad to answer than me, because I knew that the challenges were far greater than me, and I needed to step aside because contractually, I don't know what all said between RLL and Honda, or RLL and our partners. But I know that you know, this guy here to my right is a high class, you know, individual, and I know he and Dad spoke and worked things out right away. And I'm surprised, but it was certainly exciting for me to hear late last night that we were going to be able to make this happen.
And then also, any idea what it's going to feel like going against your team on Sunday?
Well, I think we start at the back, right? Isn't that the rule? Is it? Yeah. Is it? I think
we do.
So I'll still be starting. Jack hasn't gotten rid of me yet. But look, it's going to be very unique for me. This situation is super unique. You know, I will go from here to sit in the car. I mean, you got to think everything's different. You know, and I've been in the same place for 12 years now. So for me, steering wheel, I mean, I haven't changed my steering wheel in 12 years. I still run the same base wheel that I've run, you know, since the Newman Haas days. Took it from Newman Haas to Ganassi to RLL. So the whole thing is going to be a very unique situation. Obviously, to drive, you know, with the Chevy power plant for the first time. I do know that, you know, Hunter Ray already texted me and said, hey, make sure later we need to talk about, you know, the yellow map, and we need to talk about that, because it's different. I mean, it just is the way that people operate, and I've been so programmed and tuned into the Honda side for so long that this is going to be a unique scenario. But to compete against them, look, I wouldn't come here, you know, if I didn't think we had a chance to win and go forward. I think these guys will tell you they've had a very strong car all week, and Ryan's going to be a great partner. He's probably been my closest friend in this sport since I came into the sport. My first year, you know, here he was driving for my dad, and so you know, Ryan and I have always been very close. So I'm excited by the opportunity. We've talked for years about eventually working together, and the situation's certainly unique, but I'm still excited to get to be with Ryan and see what we can do on Carb Day and make this thing go forward. So it's I wish my team at RLL the best, for sure. I certainly want to see them succeed, but I also wouldn't be doing this if I didn't want to go win with these, you know, with Don and Dennis and Gary and this entire organization. That's my job, so that's what we're going to try to go do.
We'll go Joey here, and then take a couple off soon.
Graham, you kind of touched on it, but what are the next couple of days leading into Carb Day going to look like for you?
I thought they were filled with golf and kids. But you know, it's right back to work. There's a lot to learn. But I feel we're in good position, you know, as far as the individuals. Obviously Jeff, who's the engineer, I'm familiar with. Todd.
O Val sim, Val de Chevy, não muda nada. Ele estava até falando que ele correu a vida toda nos últimos anos de Honda, e o desafio é se ajustar às diferenças do Chevrolet.
Family for quite a long time. There's a lot of familiar faces there. So you know, we're going to jump in. It'll be a little bit of a quick learning experience, but it's something we haven't done before. So it's just got to settle in here over the next couple of days and really, you know, make sure that we're comfortable with all the switches and all the mapping and all of the things that are going to be of high importance. Clearly, when it comes to feeling the car out for the first time, you know, that's going to be carb day, and there's not a lot of time to do that. But luckily, you know, on Sunday there's 500 miles for us to, you know, if the car's not in the window, get the car closer. But as I said, I feel like everybody has been very, Steph and Ryan have been very strong all week. So I don't anticipate any major challenges there.
Probably be unique to not have debriefs with RLL drivers for the first time in a long time, I'd imagine. Are there any, with this being the unique partnership, I mean, and I don't know who's best served to answer this, but from a sponsor standpoint, how is that going to work? Are any of your sponsors going to be on the car coming over, crossing into the car?
Go ahead, Graham. No, try to pass the buck there. You know, from the start of this yesterday afternoon, Bobby immediately came over and spoke to me, and we put our heads down to try to figure out how we could make this happen, if we could. And a lot of the concerns he had were with Graham's sponsors, and we have some flexibility, and he stepped in.
Vai acontecer uma flexibilidade dos patrocínios do Rahal, que foi alinhado com o Dennis. Logo depois do acidente, o Bob procurou verificar essa possibilidade, então o carro vai correr um pouco dos patrocinadores da Dryer, um pouco dos patrocínios do Rahal.
Get to the end goal. I mean, this was a dire situation for us. Graham had his situation Sunday, so we're trying to turn it into a win-win situation. Hopefully, win-win-win, being Sunday with the final win. So that's what we did. We just, you know, rolled up our sleeves and went to work. So yeah, we're going to do some different things sponsorship-wise and accommodate what we can do. So, and we've got some other announcements coming with Ryan's car as well. So both cars will look slightly different and tweaked and things like that. So working on it still.
Let's take a couple off Zoom. Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Go ahead, Nate.
Thanks, Dave. I have three specific questions. The first for the team. Was Graham the first choice, and did you have a backup?
Yeah, Graham was the first choice. A lot of it was well, I mean, it just was so sudden that there wasn't a lot of time to think and you know, for Don and I sat down pretty much immediately and started thinking, once we found out Stephan couldn't be cleared to run, you know, there's a short list because not a lot of guys are approved. And to be able to come out and just run without refreshers and things like that, Graham obviously doesn't need a refresher, but my whole goal is to win this race, and Don and I talked about it, and we both agreed immediately that if we could somehow pull it off, and I don't know that we were optimistic we could, but we thought we could go down the path and explore the possibility of putting Graham in the car, and so that's how that evolved.
I'd just like to say that for us, we replace one really class act with another one, so that makes a difference too.
Appreciate that. I apologize if this is covered in the release, but is the plan still to use the backup, the 2-year-old chassis as the backup? And if so, like, I know Graham's car wasn't exactly fast on Sunday, but was there any consideration of using an RL chassis instead of trying to get a backup prepared?
No, it has to come from our stable. So we've prepared our cars equally across the board, and so yeah, to go to the backup car is something that it was pretty much ready to go. The guys are in there working on it now, and as soon as we're done here, we'll go get Graham fitted and things like that. And so we're really not going to miss too much of a beat in that sense.
Great, thanks.
Thanks, Nate. Timmy May. Tim, go ahead.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. This question is for Graham. When you first got the call, did any thought go through your mind like, well, wait a minute, our driver hit your driver. Why are you calling us? I mean, but I'm not trying to be macabre there, but it was an interesting irony, right?
Leave it to the Columbus, Ohio guy. Yeah.
Pessoal, a gente está encerrando aqui nesse momento a coletiva, ela vai continuar, mas a gente vai encerrar a transmissão aqui. Daqui a pouquinho a gente vai fazer uma live, o André e eu, para falarmos com vocês sobre essa questão e vamos conversar com o Dom também.
I don't feel good about, filling in for an injured driver. I feel for Stephan. I've said that numerous times here.